Evo loops versus continuous loops. So we have continuous loops for our hammock. These are made of am steel. To recap, the purpose of these continuous loops in our hammock is most hammocks that you get, they have these heavy, bulky ropes in the end. They're not as strong, they're a lot heavier, and they're just heavy and bulky, and they absorb more water. So, to reduce weight on our hammocks, we make these loops out of am steel, and they simply go through the gathered end and create a lark's head. And then we have this little tie-off point to hang our hammock instead of that big heavy piece of rope. So instead of a regular continuous loop, what I have is a continuous loop that's made with a large butt knot on the end that is tied and then spliced back into itself. So the Evo loop, let's look at the weight of it. 2 of these weigh only a 1/4 ounce. One weighs 0.12 ounces. These are the same weight for a continuous loop, 0.13 ounces. And what makes these really cool is soft shackle. Look at that. These also work as a soft shackle. So if this goes through the gathered end of your hammock, you can also have a soft shackle connection. And you can also have an instant connection if you just lark's head this through the hammock like a normal continuous loop. Now you have this butt knot on the end. So let's say you have a whoopee sling with a loop on the end, and you decide you want to connect that to your hammock. So you don't need a carabiner or anything like that. You can just use that button knot to form a soft shackle connection. This can also come apart with one hand. Without a load on your hammock, you can just come up and push that large button knot back down between the 2 legs, and then push it back up through the loop, and you're apart. Another thing that the Evo loops can do, that the continuous loops can't, is you can take 2 of them and make a larger loop. So using the soft shackle method, put one loop through the legs of the other loop and then over the knot. You connect one together, and then you can still connect it over here, and now you have a large loop. Like if you had a Hennessy hammock and needed a longer one, or you just needed a really large soft shackle to connect 2 things together. So a continuous loop, you can sort of do that, but you can only do one side because you have to do a lark's head connection to connect them together, which uses up a lot of the distance of it. And then now you can't do the lark's head anymore because there's no free end. I mean, you could do a knot or some other trickery here, but it would be hard to untie, and it would take up a lot of the distance and weaken the line. With the Evo loop, you have 2 nice, solid soft shackle connections, and you can connect them together. Another thing about the Evo loops that makes it really convenient is if you're using a dog bone extension in your ultralight setup. So a piece of am steel with 2 spliced loops, also known as a dog bone. This is used to extend your hammock suspension length with only minimal weight because it's not webbing. This is ultra light. But when you connect this to the continuous loop on your hammock, you have to do a lark's head. You have 2 loops, so you have to take one loop and then pass this entire length through and then pull it. Create the lark's head. I mean, that's pretty convenient and everything, but what about when you connect this end to the whoopee sling or the suspension? You have to create another lark's head and then pass this long end through, which is attached to your hammock, or if you have webbing on this side, you're going to have to pass all of your webbing through there. So let's say if you didn't have a continuous loop on one side of your hammock, if instead you just had an Evo loop, now you could take your dog bone and do the quick lark's head connection up at the whoopee sling or the suspension tree strap, but you wouldn't have to do the lark's head again down at the continuous loop, because you can just do the quick soft shackle style connection. You can almost do the initial connection one-handed. You can take it apart one-handed, and so you could probably connect it one-handed once you get good at it. But you don't have to do it exactly this way, through there and through there. You can also go around here and pull it up through if you want. It still creates the same effect, but it just, because there's a knot there, it's super easy to set up and super easy to take apart. It's almost as quick as having a spring-loaded carabiner. You can also use the Evo loop on a sewn loop of a piece of suspension to create a carabiner-like function. Here is a loop on the end of a piece of webbing, and to go around the tree with this, of course, you take the free end and you have to pass it through, which takes a little bit of effort, but you can take a Evo loop and do a lark's head, connect the Evo loop with the lark's head. Okay, now this part will function as a carabiner, because you can just lay your webbing across this piece and bring the knot up and put it through this loop and pull everything tight, and you'll have a connection. Or you can take this loop and do like before, do the soft shackle connection, and you have a strong connection right there. This works like a carabiner, and since it's soft shackled, or since it's lark's headed to the end of your hammock, it won't ever fall off. So this will always hang there, and you can even just use it as a regular loop. I can sit here and pull my webbing through that loop. But if I ever want to disconnect off the tree quickly, or be able to raise my hammock up and down, I can quickly connect or disconnect right here, because this functions like a carabiner. It's the same as if I had a carabiner attached right here and I was just click, 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 clicking it back. But now I'm just doing it with this soft shackle. So those are just a few features and benefits of the continuous loop Evo loop. It basically makes a continuous loop like this with a knot. It makes it be able to quickly attach to anything that has a loop, a sewn in loop, any kind of anything that it can possibly go around another continuous loop. As long as it has a loop, that this thing can go through and then reattach either to itself or attach directly to the actual loop, then it will make a secure and ultra strong connection without the use of any extra hardware or attaching devices like carabiners and clips. Thanks, everybody.